Let's spend some time learning about marginal cost. We're going to define marginal, we're going to define marginal cost, and we're going to talk about what it takes to plot marginal cost on a graph. So let's jump into a definition of marginal. Marginal means the next or the last or one more. Think in terms of very small increments or very small changes. And my question to you is, does this sound familiar? I hope that it does, because this is a repeating concept in economics. And as I record these videos, I never know in what order you're going to watch them, or even what order I'm going to present them. But usually when I start talking about cost, I've either already started talking about production or about consumption and utility, and the word marginal pops up in there as well. So just kind of be prepared and be ready to realize that this marginal concept is something we're going to be coming to over and over and over again. So just kind of be prepared to keep seeing this word marginal pop up. So marginal cost then is going to be the cost of making the last unit, or the cost of making the next unit, or the cost of making one more unit. Think about this as the cost of making a very small change, and that very small change is producing more or even producing less. And we're going to use this for this very tiny bitty microscopic scale cost benefit analysis. A little later on, we're going to ask ourselves the question, is it worth the trouble to make one more unit in our business, in our production process? Let's say I have a cow that produces 50 pounds of milk. I have no idea how much milk a cow should produce, but let's say I have one that produces 50 pounds of milk. If I want to make 51 pounds of milk, if I want that cow to produce one more pound, I have to do something. The cow's just not going to wake up one day and go, yeah, I'll make 51 pounds today just for the fun of it. No, I've got to add more input. I've got to feed the cow more. I've got to water the cow more. If I want production to go up, I have to add something else to the process. That extra money I add to it from buying the extra inputs, that's the marginal cost. Just as kind of a tangent, when you hear the word marginal, think slope. It's also the slope of the total cost curve. In fact, I think that's on the next slide. So here's a formula. The marginal cost, MC stands for marginal cost, is the change in total cost divided by the change in output. That triangle is not a triangle. That triangle is a Greek uppercase delta. And when you see that delta, that Greek uppercase delta, the word that should pop into your mind is the word change. Delta is our symbol for change. So this formula basically says we're going to take something and we're going to change it. Whatever it is, it's something we're going to change. And as a result of that change, we're going to change our output and we're going to change our cost. The amount of money we spend is going to change. So I'm going to add more inputs into the system, and by default that means spending more money, and that should result in more outputs being added to the system. Or we could be using less inputs. We're just changing something. And so the change in total cost is the total cost after the change, TC2 minus TC1. TC1 is the total cost before the change. In this case, the 1 and the 2 are timestamps, where 1 is before and 2 is after. Imagine that 1 represents the total cost in January and 2 represents the total cost in February. And the numbers, in this case the subscripts, are months. The change in Y is just going to be the new amount of output, 51 pounds of milk, minus the old amount of output, the 50 pounds of milk from the previous slide. And what I hope to point out to you is that this looks just like the formula for calculating the slope of a line, and that's because the marginal cost is going to be the slope of our total cost curve. It shows how the total cost curve is changing, and that's very useful for those who've had a calculus class or who understand slopes very well. But just kind of keep that in mind. The marginal cost curve is the slope of the total cost curve, and it's just the change in total cost divided by the change in output. So there you go. That's the marginal cost curve. And I do believe that might be the end of my slides. It's a very short set of slides. Not sure if I'm going to put a quiz in this one or not. If I do, one will pop up here in just a second. So thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day.